All right. I am just lazy. I don't feel like downloading this and then sending it, putting it on YouTube. I'm just going to film it straight from StreamYard. Sorry. I know. Sorry for the dead air. Straight from StreamYard. Had that dead air there. I'm sorry. My mind is going fast. Eventually, oh man, that pre-onset Alzheimer's is a motherfucker. Anywho, let's talk about war crimes and reprisals. I saw a video from this untold past, which sometimes will do these, will do these very baity titles. They'll be like the brutal execution of Helmut Kampfer, SS commander, burned alive, or they'll do the justified execution of whatever Nazi leader, right? I had to look this up because I wasn't even completely sure. I'd heard part of this story of Uledua. Excuse me, excusez-moi for my crapola friend français, but I'm gonna say it like this. So Uledua Surglan the was a village which is now a living museum of the brutality of specifically the Waffen SS. Men, women, and children were brought into the church. They were shot at their legs so that they couldn't move, and then they set a church on fire. They also desecrated the church that they were in, which kind of goes back and forth. Like I said, this is why people say, oh, well, the Nazis were Christian. No, they were pagan. Anyway. Now, this was in response to the execution of Helmut Kempe. Helmut Kempe was captured by the French communists. I'm trying to think of which brigade it is. This is according to Wiki, so take it with a grain of salt. Let me see here. I think I scared that person off by bringing up Uladua, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. This is a lot of very, very heavy stuff that I'm going to say, but nonetheless, I'm going to put it out there because I'm wild like that. Georges Guingouin. Guingouin. Georges Guingouin. Or it's basically Guingouin. I can't, like I said. Mon Dieu, my French sucks. Apologies, everybody. Apologies. My French sucks. But anyway, Helmut Kempe. So they caught him. Here's the story. Word and glory. What's the word coming back? While in southern France, Kempe was ordered to begin operation against the Maquis. Of course, as we know, the Maquis made up of different groups, some of which were communists, some were more French nationalistic. It was a mix, but overall, it was Mogomis. Now, of course, the thing is that the communists then had a big, but we'll talk about Georges Guingouin as well here in a little bit, and we'll touch on some other things. But here's what occurred. A militant communist group in the Maquis du Limousin, one of the largest Maquis, when it was discovered that the highly decorated officer had been kidnapped, troops from the Das Reich division and members of the Milice, which was the VC French military police force that existed. Basically, they're the French version of, let's say the Feldpolizei. We'll put it that way. Began a brutal search of the surrounding area for Kempe. 2 local men were shot dead. So here's the story with him. Allegedly, they found him, I imagine, in a German half-track. He had been wounded. They had handcuffed him in this half-track. They set the half-track on fire and killed other German soldiers around it. So this led to another SS Sturmbannführer, as Herr Kempe was, Adolf Deichmann. Deichmann was killed not too long after this. Now, the thing is that Dyckman was going to be put up on charges and was going to be court-martialed. Now, I know people are going to say, man, this sounds like some Wignat stuff. I'm just trying to tell the truth here because this is generally what happened. This happened a lot, is that they went too far. And the thing is, like I say, I know people say, oh, this is excuse, you're making, this is apologia for Nazis. I'm trying to be, no, is that Wignats used this as talking points. He said he found Kempfa's handcuffed body inside a German field ambulance with the remains of other German soldiers just outside the village of Ulladur-sur-Glane. The vehicle had been set alight, burning alive everyone inside. After seeing his friend's fate, the village was destroyed on his orders. Brigadefuhrer Heinz Lammerding agreed that Dyckman should face a court-martial. All charges were dropped when Dyckman was killed fighting in Normandy on June 29, 1944. So I say this because people will probably use this as a way to justify things. And it's more of because the thing is, if you bring this up and say, oh, it's awful and everything else like that, Ulladur-sur-Glane is a living testament to that brutality. And so I do agree with that. I know people will be like, oh, but it is used as a symbol to say, let's not forget, right? Now, the thing is, to a point, I would have to say the French communists, they were heavy LARPers and didn't realize, or they didn't give a shit about reprisals. And they're just like, look, we're going to set this SS officer on fire and everything else like that. And then not realize that they were going to do reprisals against their fellow Frenchmen. This is what, like I say, this same sort of argument can be said, and this isn't justifying what the SS did, by the way. This is not justifying what the Waffen SS did or what Sturmenführer Dyckman did. Not at all. But what happened is that once this, occurred, you had, what did these communists do? Let's touch on what happened with Georges Guin-Join. Guin-Join. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. So, mon Dieu. So what occurred? Father was an NCO killed at Bapaume in 1914. We'll go ahead. Yeah, he was he was involved with the Maquis. We are against de Gaulle and the capitalist clan whose interests are linked to Vichy. Published the first issue of Travailleur Limousin, the Limousin worker, underground journal. He wrote that he held off from attacking de Gaulle or the United Kingdom, he wrote that he held off from attacking de Gaulle or the United Kingdom, breaking with the official party line. He took the Maquis, which astonished Gabriel Roucaut, one of the party's leadership representatives in the Zone Libre, the free zone, I guess, partition of French metropolitan territory. French second armistice at Compiègne. Okay. There's a lot of stuff that people leave out about history, and they just hit the high points. It's unfortunate. So yeah, basically, let's see what. Yeah, ordered to take the Limoges, an important Communist Party official, ordered to take Limoges by Léon Mauvais, an important Communist Party official. Zone Sud, so that's Southern Zone. Guin-Join had refused, considering the operation premature and dangerous for the general population. Yeah. In support of his decision, he cited the tragic example of the premature liberation of Toul, where in reprisals, 99 men had been hanged from balconies on the main road of the city and 101 others deported. So it sounds like he must have caught a lot of shit. He mentions Toul, but he doesn't mention what the fuck happened later on. Yeah. 1st Brigade was attacked by the German brigade of General Kurt von Jesser. This triggered the Battle of Montgagan. Maquis lost 97 men against 342 killed and wounded on the German side. Yeah. One of the rare occasions where the resistance fought against the Wehrmacht in open battle. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Jinjuan would be accused of being directly or indirectly responsible for the extortion which accompanied the liberation and cleansing of Limoges and Limousin. According to Henri Amoureux, Guinjuan had 45 people tried and sentenced to death in a week, of whom only one escaped, and that the first to be accused did not have anyone represent them in defense and worked from 6 to 12 hours per day, including Saturday and Sunday. Jinjuan was also accused of acquiring loot from a former youth work camp, which resulted in 6 executions, including 3 members of the Armée Secrète. So the thing is, like I say, you have to question. This is going more towards how I feel about things and how oversimplified people make politics and what people really believe. People will probably think, man, that Odysee Glen was awful, but those Maquis were heroes. They were true anti-fascists, bro. And then what happens after the liberation? This George Guinguen guy is killing people. He's sentencing, a death, sentenced to death in a week. 45 people were tried and sentenced to death. Doesn't sound like they were, was appointed lieutenant colonel of the French forces of the interior. The pride of the Communist Party was seriously injured in the car attack. But yeah, so he lost the mayorship of Limoges to a socialist, Leon Betu. Excuse me. I'm trying to pronounce it in French. Mon Dieu. I know. Mon Dieu. You do not speak French very well. You need to stop, you silly American. But yeah. Did you watch the Cliche Guevara documentary? I did. I did watch it. Yes, that is very, very sad. And it just goes to show Anglos. Yeah, I mean, this goes into a whole lot of issues. But yeah, it's very, very sad that, euthanasia, it's kind of, like I say, this gets into Jack Kevorkian, this type of stuff that happens in the U.S. Yeah, war crimes is an oxymoron. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But this allows you to question, who are the heroes and who are the bad guys? Many times you can't really tell the difference. The thing is that, you can see the Red Army as liberators of Berlin. But then, you don't have to necessarily be a Wignat or be a whole big old liberal or whatever you want to say maybe the rapes of German women and, all that, maybe that was a little going a little too far, and everything else like that, and reports from, and of course you'll see the video clips posted by, Wignats and whatnot who say, oh, well, we should, or the Red Army folks who some will say, yeah, we kill women and children, so what? Or that, some folks who are reluctant and they'll say, yeah, this major captured these 2 German girls, raped them, killed them, and then threw them in a pig pen, this and that. I don't even like to say these things out loud, but yeah, it's, now this isn't me justifying these things. It's just me saying that we have to be comfortable with this reality. Did Jack get 20 plus years in prison? Let's see here. What happened to old? I think he did. Yeah, hold on. Jack Kevorkian. I know he's dead now, but let me see. Jack Kevorkian. Oh, crap. There we go. Jack Kevorkian. Yeah, died in 2011. Let me see here. I think he did do time. Let me see here. Dying is not a crime. He was convicted of second-degree murder, served 8 years of a 10 to 25 year prison sentence. He was released on parole on June 1st, 2007. Any act of suicide involving euthanasia to any other person, as well as neither promote nor talk about the procedure of assisted suicide. Armenian, yeah. Kevorkian developed several controversial ideas related to death. I propose that a prisoner condemned to death by due process of law be allowed to submit by his own free choice to medical experimentation under complete anesthesia. Oh, man. At the time appointed for administering the penalty as a form of execution in lieu of conventional methods prescribed by law. As a pathologist, Kevorkian experimented with transfusing blood from the recently deceased into live patients. He drew blood from corpses recently brought into the hospital and transferred it successfully into the bodies of hospital staff members. Holy moly. His first publicly assisted suicide of Jeanette Adkins, a 54-year-old woman diagnosed in 1989 with Alzheimer's, took place in 1990. Criticism and Kevorkian's response. Yeah. I wonder what his record was. I have no idea. Let me see. He sounds like a goober. He ran as an independent. Oh man, he ran in Michigan. Wow, this goober. Had struggled with kidney problems for years. He was diagnosed with liver cancer. Condition grew rapidly worse, and he died from thrombosis 8 days after his 83rd birthday. Wow. There were no artificial attempts to keep him alive, and his death was painless. Of course it was. But yeah, there you go. Yeah. It is sad indeed. I'm glad you watched it. I'm sure that was what happened. That has happened everywhere, not just in the UK. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, this video was not meant to justify war crimes. What I'm saying is that a lot of areas are gray. You know, we see that, yeah, this Helmut Kampfer guy, was not there's no may about it. He was not a great person, but he felt dedicated to the Nazi cause, right? Such as Georges Guingouin felt that he was, freeing the people from fascism, right? And, killed this guy and, set him on fire and, started to kill people afterwards. Allegedly. We don't know for sure, right? Wink, wink. The thing is that, he was later put in exile. It's called Tool concerning a murder of 2 villagers in which members of the resistance who had been under Guingouin's authority had been accused, according to the historian. This marked the beginning of a conspiracy by police officers and magistrates who had been against Guingouin during the war. The instigator of the plot was the police commissaire known as C, who once in 1943 had been against Guingouin when the Bussy Village. Yes, Bussy, Bussy Village viaduct was destroyed. A police inspector, A, who led an inquiry about the disappearance of explosives from the St. Leonard mine, A, had declared to an intern who was being transferred, "It will be no one other than me who brings down Le Grand," referring to Guingouin. Is that Guingouin? Guingouin? So that's probably it, isn't it? Guingouin. Defended now by 2 young lawyers, Roland Dumas and the former as foreign secretary, the latter as the man who abolished the death penalty. Guingouin was released on bail, but the investigation continued until 1959. Only then did the public prosecutor conclude that, in all conscience, I cannot understand why proceedings were taken against Georges Guingouin. So he joined the Mouvement Communiste Démocratique, a national of Auguste Lecour and Pierre Herve. The extreme right publication took up some accusations which had been previously leveled at Guingouin, alleging that he had been responsible for some of the summary executions which had taken place in the Limoges region. Brought a complaint. I'm sorry, I'm getting bogged down in this. I just find this fascinating. In 1998, the Communist Party officially rehabilitated Guingouin. Guingouin's response was phlegmatic. It's a problem the party has with itself. It doesn't concern me anymore. I've reached the age of serenity. Whatever. Frenchman. Oh, boy. But yeah, the French communists, like I said, I think the Germans opened a museum recently to raise awareness for Germans that we're driven out of countries after World War II. It's crazy that Jack got convicted in prison, yet all the doctors who have been killing our elderly don't get prosecuted. So fucked up. Yeah. Can you link it here in chat? Oh yeah. We're talking about Guingouin. Yeah, I can link that. It's a Wikipedia article, so it's kind of cringe, but I'll let y'all look at that about this. But the thing is, though, you have to say with these French communists, I guess they were the most vindictive, I would say. The Soviets, obviously, and the, partisans in the East were very harsh. But I think the French were more vindictive. Of course, as we saw here, they got Helmut Kempfe. They also got Joachim Peiper, in 1976, when Joachim Peiper went back to his native Alsace-Lorraine, which, of course, has went back and forth between Germany and France for generations. That's where, the Alsatian, German Shepherd comes from, is Alsace-Lorraine. That's the whole idea. But anyway, I'm getting bogged down. But the thing is, I'm focusing on this, on Odysee and, George Guingouin. But I feel that this speaks to larger issues. When you're tired, when, you feel that you've been wronged, and you feel that, this guy killed one of your comrades, there's a question of, are we going to do something about it? Now, sometimes people are just outright just, sadists, and they're going to kill people. Let's not try to make it, fair. But, such is the case with the My Lai massacre. As far as I know, they hadn't been in country that long. Virgo Politics did a great video some time ago about the communist takeover of Paris. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and talked about how they weren't able to get people on their side, this and that. And yeah, that was a pretty good video. I do remember that one. I was going to finish it up with this, though, is, like I say, we see that these things will continue to happen. Was based and beat the commies back. Okay. I would say that the fact is that war crimes happen for a lot of reasons. And the thing is that people will justify some and say it wasn't really like that or whatever, right? There will be people who will say Uladua was just a limited thing. It didn't happen that often or whatever, right? Or people will say, oh, well, Abu Ghraib and all that type of thing. That was, like I said, we still liberated Iraq, Or people, there's always a justification. Or even with the recent Navy SEAL, who, maybe there are reasons, but I don't think there are, where he was just, had his rocket launcher and was just blowing up shacks. He's blowing up people's homes in Afghanistan. What a brave Navy SEAL, right? What a brave guy to do that, wasn't he? Yeah, Eddie Gallagher. Let's read about Eddie Gallagher. That's who I was thinking of. You know, what a brave guy this guy was. So he so what does he do? Like I said, what does he do? He this is the whole idea of, war is, war is bad and it's evil and whatnot, but people justify it and everything else. But then they'll be like, well, we don't want war crimes. We don't want people just kill innocent civilians, this and that. And we try to come up with Geneva Convention, this and that. It's like it's never worked that way. There will always be war crimes as long as human beings exist. That's not justification. I'm just saying it as a pragmatic course of, the most prominent accusation as best attested to the murder of a prisoner of war, a war crime. Khalid Jamal Abdullah, a captured 17-year-old fighter of the Islamic State. Let's see here. That was the biggest one, but I did hear stabbed him repeatedly with his hunting knife. Gallagher and his commanding officer, Lieutenant Jake Portier, then posed for photographs of them standing over the body with some other nearby SEALs. Gallagher then texted a friend in California a picture of him holding the dead captive's ISIS head by the hair with the explanation, "Good story behind this. Got him with my hunting knife." That's some coward. That's some pussy shit, in my opinion. Oh, I'm a brave guy. I stabbed somebody while he was already in custody. That's some pussy shit. Not to say I'm some brave, badass dude, but it's like, come on, man. You have the Navy mustache and all that, but it's like, that's some pussy shit. I don't give a fuck what you say. There's another time, though, reckless and bloodthirsty, he allegedly fired his rifle far more frequently than other snipers. The other snipers in the platoon did not consider him a good sniper, and he took random shots into buildings. Other snipers said they witnessed Gallagher taking at least 2 militarily pointless shots, shooting and killing an unarmed old man in a white robe, as well as a young girl walking with other girls. Gallagher allegedly boasted about the large number of people he had killed, claiming he averaged 3 kills a day over 80 days, including 4 women. Fucking coward, dude. Like I say, I think that most reasonable people and soldiers, I know, it's a slight joke, but I'm sure that soldiers would be like, no, this guy's a fucking pussy. This guy claims to be like a Navy SEAL, a sniper, and he's just shooting rando people because he wants to get off on it. This, yeah. Gallagher also was, okay, let me see here. Allegedly boasted about the large number of people he killed, was also was reportedly known for indiscriminately spraying neighborhoods with rockets and machine gun fire with no known enemy force in the region. A charge of obstruction of justice was brought against Gallagher for alleged witness intimidation. Gallagher allegedly threatened to kill fellow SEALs if they reported his actions. Once again, what a brave guy. Huh? Navy cited his text messages as attempting to undermine the investigation with messages sent to pass the word on those traitors, meaning cooperating witnesses and get them blacklisted within the special warfare community. This resulted in him being confined in the brig for a time with heavy restrictions on his ability to communicate. This confinement was later lessened. What a hero, isn't it? Yeah, what a hero. Amazingly, there's mirrors of videos still up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What a hero, Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and try to make some folks into heroes and whatnot. But the thing is, though, you try. It's hard to find who are the heroes and who are the villains, I think. And only with time can you really try to make people into something, right? It's like people who knew George Washington. It's like, look, lefties are correct in this way. George Washington was a scumbag. Let's be honest. The few good videos that Stefan Molyneux did were like those videos where he talked about one specific person, talked about like Che Guevara or talking about George Washington or whoever. Those were the only good videos he did. I cannot remember the title of what it, but anywho. I know people can be like, ooh, cringe. I know. But those are the only good videos Molyneux did. And all the screw-ups that George Washington did when he was, I guess, part of the British military for a brief time, getting people killed, tracking down a slave that had escaped from his plantation. And of course, him being a Freemason and all that, but it's like he was, generally speaking, he was a dipshit, you know. Thomas Jefferson at least had some brains. That's not to say I defend him, but it's like at least he had some brains. Whereas George Washington, I mean, if you read about this guy, he just sounded like a mook. He just sounded like an oaf. It was just kind of, you know, they make him look like this hero and whatnot. It's like, no, he really wasn't, you know. Will there be woke apologists when America is no longer the world hegemon and is being prosecuted for war crimes? I'm sure there will be. There are going to be folks like Vosh who are like, well, you know, America's the democracy, this and that, you know. I don't know, man. The older you get, the more you realize that the world is gray. You know, the world is not good. It's not bad. It just is. And maybe that's more of a Zen sort of belief I have. But it's like, I was thinking about this early today. And you hear these truthers or whatever you want to say. And they'll make some people out to be heroes. They'll make others a complete enemy. A lot of the time, the enemies are overlapping, right? They'll talk about the Rothschilds. They'll talk about, you know, George Soros or whichever. It's like, okay, yeah, no shit. They never do anything about it, but then they'll also bring up, you know, like, you know, Assad was, you know, is evil and everything else like that. It's like, yeah. Most of them, you know, when I heard that Aussie guy yesterday, he was like, most of those folks who were fighting in Syria were Syrian nationalists who wanted to save their country. I'm like, what? It's like, oh, you know, 90% of them were fighting for their freedom. It's like, bruh, which ones are you talking about? Are you talking about Daesh? Are you talking about Hayat Tahrir al-Sham? You know, are you talking about the Free Syrian Army? Who are you specifically talking about, dude? And it's just like, I don't know. I've tried to be honest about it, where it's like, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and be an apologist completely for Assad, but it's like, I'm not going to sit here and praise these different leaders. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, just because I disagree with certain things about Assad does not mean I'm going to sit here and praise somebody else. You know, it's just like, you realize that with these wars, to a point, there are no heroes. It's like, you can go ahead and say Russia is cringe or whatever for working with Israel and whatnot. You'll always hear these folks who are like, oh, Russia bad because they work with Israel too. They're not this base, you know, country or whatever. The Orthodox Church is corrupt and all this, you know, Patriarch Kirill is bad. It's like, okay, I don't, but it is what it is. That's Russia's problem. That's their deal. The thing is, though, is they'll say that, but then they'll be like, oh, those brave freedom fighters in Ukraine. Are you fucking kidding me? Those freedom fighters in Ukraine? You mean the ones that'll continue to bomb their own countrymen? Well, let me back up on that. The folks of the DPR and the LPR continually shelling them and killing them, and, you know, coming in and shooting folks. Oh yeah, they're so fucking brave. You know. Give me a fucking break. You can go ahead and hate Russia, but to sit there and fucking praise Ukraine, controlled by people like Kolomoisky, is bullshit. All right? I'm going to tell you that right now. And to praise LARPers like that, I mean, this is something I disagree with Zoltan Assange, where he's like, oh, yeah, I support Ukraine. No. Or more specifically, I think he said that he supported the Azov battalion. No. Bruh. do not support the Azov Battalion. The Azov Battalion gets support from Israel. This is simple stuff that you could find very easily. All you have to do is find their videos because they still have a YouTube channel. That's fucking amazing to me. But it's in Ukrainian, so that's probably why you don't have Ukrainian censors above his big gate. Yeah. The thing is, man, is, let me finish my point. And you'll see them with Tavor rifles and all this sort of thing. Of course, Tavor bullpups, those are Israeli design. The thing is, man, is that you get to a point where you just realize that it's all fucking cringe, I don't think Washington was a Freemason due to the letter he wrote someone saying that he didn't believe they had infiltrated America yet. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Maybe I was wrong, but George Washington, I still think kind of an oaf, but that's my opinion. At the end of the day, I feel like people join groups not just because of leaders, but because of what they can get out of it. You don't join. It's like you get a job and you stick with the job. You know that there are horrible aspects of a job or just things you don't like doing, but it's like, well, I like the people I work with, or the pay is good, or good benefits or whatever. So that's what people do, right? People will say they joined the communists later on because it's just like, well, they gave us a house, or they gave, people will say they supported Hitler because of, housing or whatever, right? Hold on. Let me go ahead and shut the door right quick. So that isn't a justification. I'm just saying is that people join groups out of their own self-interest. And they also do it because they feel that way ideologically, right? So they join the communists because they feel like if the communists win, then they will get what they'll get a piece of the pie, or whatever, right? But I feel like people are going to justify what they need to justify, right? And if you join a group, and I've said this before, people are going to make their choices. But just realize that unless you started from the very beginning and you have a loyalty to the leader or whichever, chances are you're just going to be doing the dirty work of that group, I don't know. I just say that as a realistic thing, right? I work I work at a hotel that's owned by a family. And I understand that in general, I'm probably going to be, I'm never going to move up in that system. I'm always going to be a maintenance guy there. And that's fine. I'm going to get what I can out of it, and then I'll move on. But the thing is that, where was I going with that? But the reality is that it's a family business, right? And people are going to do that. Yeah. Yes, but it didn't start with Washington is all I'm saying. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, anti-ethnic cleansing. Fair enough. Like I say, it's a very messy thing. I was reading today as well, finishing up talking about the occupation of the Channel Islands by the Germans, and the starvation rations that existed. The this Vice Admiral Leutner, who was pretty fanatical, but ultimately knew that he didn't have much power. So once, but there was a complication of a lot of people had left the Channel Islands, but once they came back, they didn't really feel the same way about people as they did. Because they were fighting in Britain, they were fighting in the UK proper, and these folks were under German occupation, and some had been killed, some had been sent off to work in Germany and starve and freeze to death. So this is what happens. I think we see a country that people give a lot of lip service and they give a lot of rhetoric to what America is, this and that. And I think that there are a lot of folks who have a lot of hatred for specific groups, whether it's, America's like India, whose elites are Swedish. Yeah. That's a good quote. Let me see here. Let's see here. America is like India, whose elites are Swedish. Okay, yeah, sorry. That's a good question because I cannot see. I have no idea. I have no idea who said that. GSP. Yeah. I'll finish up this rambly sort of stream as they typically are. Is that the United States is not one thing. Just as you would say Germany is not one thing. China is not one thing. To say that China, like I said, people can paint the whole country of China as just some evil nation who's, they want to destroy the world or whatever. It's like plenty of people just want to live. Things are doing better in China. And I can congratulate them for that. I can say, yeah, well done. You can go ahead and say, oh, it's due to Sassoons or or these American billionaires or whoever. And you can do that. Go ahead, I guess. I'm not going to stop you. But the thing is, though, it's not one thing. To think that, the North-South divide is still very strong in China. Between folks that are northern and much, taller versus, the South, which in general, people are shorter. You can see it in the martial arts, right? Lam Kun Bak Toi, or Nan Xuan Bei Tui, as they would say, which basically, northern leg, southern fist, right? Or southern fist, northern leg. Sorry. Lam Kun Bak Toi. Honga versus a style like, say, Tan Tui, which is literally like northern kick style or whatever. But, there's a lot of differences that exist. Germany, even, right? To think that Thuringia is the same thing as Baden-Baden is ridiculous, right? Like I say, I know that people can say something similar to the U.S. or say something in contrast to the U.S. Well, the U.S. is homogenized. You can go to McDonald's and it'd be the same thing, or you can go to Starbucks and be the same thing. Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that there are a lot of other influences that do still exist. I mean, America has said to Sherman that last week that America will not win a Cold War with China because the Chinese population is much better prepared and the U.S. is too divided. Yeah. China does better environmental work than the West. Yeah. I would have to say to a point, yes. I would say, going back to war crimes. That's what we were talking about, wasn't it? War crimes. I forgot what we were talking. But war crimes. I think that they're always going to occur while human beings go to war, because soldiers get upset when partisans kill somebody and they go off, right? And this is a justification, right? So you have reprisals. I mean, apparently with this Eddie Gallagher guy, this guy just wanted to kill people. He didn't even care. He just sounded like a pussy who's just shooting rando people, you know? I'm sure other SEALs be like, well, he doesn't represent us, this and that. It's like, yeah, regardless, there are those sort of meatheads out there, you know? And I'm sure he could whoop my ass, but it's like, my nigga, you know, I don't even know, man. But they will occur. Not justifying it, but war crimes happen. And people will find all sorts of things to justify them. And it's just the way it is. I think that's all I have to say on that. Sorry for the rambly schizo stuff. That is all right, Wicked Energy. I'm fitting to wrap this up. But yeah, it's easier for me to do the live stream because I'm just lazy. I really don't feel like downloading a video and then uploading it. Got a couple more days of work, and then I'll be off the weekend. I may put out that video about Lao Galung. I may not, but yeah. There's no innocence anywhere. Oh, no. There's no innocence. But yeah. Anywho, I think that's all I have to say. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this rambly sort of business that's going on. I think that's all I have to say. So see you later. Goodbye.